Let's try something a bit more ambitious and practical with our knowledge of the date function and PHP decision-making structures. We're going to create a copyright notice for the Hansel and Petal site that will automatically display the correct date range based on a start year and the current date. If we scroll down in the home page here, there's the copyright notice down in the footer. That's inside a server-side include that was created earlier in the course. So we need to go to that server-side include and start working. So here it is, footer.php, and if we scroll down, there is the copyright notice. It's hard-coded, copyright 2013 Hansel and Petal. And with the help of the date function and a bit of PHP logic, we'll be able to update this automatically at the stroke of midnight on New Year's Eve. Now, as you should know by now, the web server's time zone needs to be set before you can use the date function. If you set it in a configuration file, or if it's been set for you by your hosting company, you don't need to do anything. But if you can't use one of the configuration methods described earlier in this chapter, you need to use date default time zone set instead. Now, although we're working in the footer, you need to set the time zone, if necessary, in the other server-side include. In other words, in pagetop.php, because we'll be using the date function in other parts of the page later on in the course. So right at the top in the PHP code block, if you need to set the time zone here, this is where you should do it. So it will be date underscore default underscore time zone, all as one word, and then underscore set, and the argument needs to be a string containing the time zone identifier. For California, it would be America/Los underscore Angeles. Now, this is only necessary if you couldn't use one of the configuration methods. I don't need to use it. I'm just showing you where it should go. I'm going to comment out this line by putting a double slash at the beginning. So it'll be ignored by the server, but this is where you need to set it should you have the need to do so. So that's all we need to do in pagetop.php. So let's just save that page and then switch back to footer.php. And I'm going to put the code in a code block at the top of this server-side include. It's always a good idea to put code in a separate place where it's easy to see and easy to maintain. So let's put a little PHP code block up here. And the content of a website is normally built up over time, so it's usual to specify the copyright date as a range of years. So let's have a first variable, which will be the start year, and all one word, so we'll use camel case. Start year, capital Y for year, equals 2013. And then we need a variable for this year, so we'll call that this year, and use the date function. And a uppercase Y gives you the current year. Next, we need to find out if the current year is greater than the start year. So that's an if statement, and the condition will be if this year is greater than start year, put those curly braces in there, and then inside those curly braces we'll create a new variable called copyright. And the copyright will use a double-quoted string for this. It'll look a bit odd, but it will work, trust me. So double quotes, and then start year, then an ampersand, n dash, semicolon, that will give us a small dash, and then this year, and a closing double quote, and a semicolon. And if this year is not greater than the start year, we need an else clause, so put those curly braces in there. If it's not greater than that, then copyright will be start year. So there's all the logic for creating the copyright notice up there. All we need to do is to add it in the copyright place. So we go down here, we find 2013, we delete that and replace it with a PHP code block. Echo copyright, then close that block there. So if we save that and go back to the browser and reload the page, You can't see any difference because I'm recording this in 2013. So let's force a date range by changing the value of start year. Let's go back, scroll up to the top and make the start year 2011. Save that. Go back to the browser, refresh it, and now we've got a date range of 2011 with an n dash between them, 2013. Now what if you want just the 2 digits, the 13 at the end there? No problem, let's go back to our code. We just need to make a slight change to the code, and then up here we need to change the value of this year equals, and then date. I'm going to change the value. This time it'll be a lowercase y, and that gives you just the 2 digits for the date. Put a semicolon at the end, save that page, go back to the browser, reload it, and there we've got our date range as 2011 n-13. So there we have a simple yet practical use of the date function and an if-else structure. Your copyright notice will never be out of date again.